Hi there, it's Alexandra from the Middlesized Garden YouTube channel and blog, and it's the end of the summer, beginning of fall, autumn, whatever you call it, wherever you are. And it's a brilliant time for planting. It's a great time to look back on the garden. So I'm going to look back on the Middlesized Garden over this summer to see what's worked, which might give you ideas for your garden, and also to see where I've got gaps. Traditionally, autumn or fall has always been a good time for planting, as has spring, because the ground's warm and there's usually a decent amount of rain. However, I've spoken to quite a few head gardeners this year, and certainly they're telling me that autumn or fall is a better time for planting than spring, certainly here in southeast England, because we're getting some very dry springs. And I don't know how that's working where you are, but it's certainly worth considering. The main advantage for the plants is that they get to bed in. They go rather dormant over the winter, and then when spring comes, they're already settled into their new homes and they're starting to grow. I spoke to Asa Gregors-Warg from the Beth Chatto Garden, and she said, well, we used to plant in either spring or autumn. Now it's really autumn because the springs are too dry. And Stephen Harrington from Leonardsley Lakes and Gardens said the same about rhododendrons. So I thought I'd look back at the Middlesized Garden over the summer to see where the gaps are, to see what's worked, and to give you ideas for your garden of what you might want to plant, and to say which plants we should be planting in the next few weeks or months, and which you really perhaps do have to leave to the spring. If you took photographs or notes of how your garden looked at any particular time of the year, then you can look back on it now, and I found this really, really valuable. So we'll start with what I would call late spring, mid to late spring. For me, mid to late spring is probably April. It's when the daffodils are up and the tulips are beginning to be up. And looking at this border, I can see that I'm really quite pleased with this end of the garden. This is the end of a border in front of the kitchen, and we can see it all year round. And one of the things that is important about plants that you mainly see in the spring or the autumn is to make sure you can see them from the house, because often you're not out in the garden as much at that time of year. We can see this border from the house, and it's really where I concentrate a lot of my colour gardening. But if I look further down the border, I can see there are some gaps. This is actually nearer the kitchen window, so and there's definite blanks here. So I really need to buy, I think, some more daffodils and some more tulips to fill this hole in spring. If we then move on to late spring or early summer, which would be May for us, the big story in this garden is self-seeders. Now, self-seeded plants give you plants for free, and they pop up and they're sort of wonderfully wild combinations, and often they can turn out better than anything I could ever have planted. But of course, you never quite know what's going to come up. By early summer, or which for us is probably mid-May, the soil is almost covered, and it's covered by foliage. And I think one thing that this does show you is just to remember how important foliage is when you're planning your garden. There are hardly any flowers in this particular stretch of border, but actually I really love it. The other thing that's really big by this time in my garden is self-seeders. Self-seeders are self-seeded plants, usually annuals, but often bulbs, which just scatter themselves around the garden and they fill the gaps. I start off my self-seeders by growing them actually in the potting shed and then planting them out. I haven't found it very successful to scatter seeds into the soil, ever. Benjamin Ranyard runs the seed supplier Higgledy Garden, and he's got a very good blog, and he's talking about growing plants from seed to put into the garden around midsummer. And he says that if you've got something like couch grass or possibly even ground elder that can overrun sort of little more delicate, fragile plants, then you do need to give them a bit of a head start. So what he does is he grows the plants in pots until they're a decent size and then plants them in the borders. And I think that's a very good hint. You can see a link to his blog and his website in the description below, along with the other videos and interviews that I've mentioned in this video. One thing that makes a big difference for the early summer garden are the alliums. Their flowers come up later, they'll be midsummer. But in early summer, their great big leaves cover the bare patches where the perennials haven't yet come up. And by the time the perennials are coming up, the allium leaves will have died back. So they're a really good presence in the garden, and I can really recommend planting them. I think also, if you're thinking of growing things from seed, it's a good idea to have either a filler or a really standout plant to cause a big drama in the garden. Some years I've planted something called Leonitis leonoris, or staircase plant, or lion's ear, which is a great big tall orange plant, rather like a thistle, and it's just so stunning. And if I stick it into a few little gaps in the borders, people say, oh my God, what's that? It's brilliant. And of course, another great filler is Cosmos, which comes out later in the year, but is just so pretty, so attractive, so easy, goes on flowering for ages. Typically, we think about early spring as the time to sow seeds in the potting shed or the greenhouse or on windowsills, but actually autumn is a very good time for many of those seeds. And I've often planted out seeds in pots or trays around September, kept them going over the winter. They haven't done much, but then in spring, they're a little bit further ahead and they're ready to be planted out. And most of the tests that have been done show that these plants flower for just as long, if not longer, than seeds grown in the spring. By midsummer, it really is the self-seeders that are the big story in this garden, along with the roses and the irises. I've interviewed iris experts, Iris of Sissinghurst, this year, and irises should be planted in the summer months. You can plant them in September, which is sort of pretty much the end of the summer for us, but they're not plants that can be planted in the autumn. If you've got irises in your garden, clear away any falling leaves or debris from them at the moment, but you don't have to clip their leaves back. And there's a video about iris care which you can see in the description below. Roses, however, are really best planted in autumn, winter and early spring when their leaves are off and they're almost dormant, and particularly bare root roses are very good planted at this time. But even container grown roses, which can be planted at any time of year, are more likely to do well if they're planted in the autumn because the earth is a little bit damper. Now, at the end of the summer, I've seen that a rose in my garden, which is called Gojard, which is not necessarily a repeat flowering rose, is actually repeat flowering. And I think that's because I've been feeding it all summer. Roses are very, very hungry plants, according to Neil Miller, who I interviewed at Hever Castle about roses. And he said also that if you're going to buy new roses, the newer varieties are bred to be more resistant to things like black spot. It's really very difficult to deal with black spot, so if you don't want it in the garden, buy roses that are more resistant. But Neil also said that they won't actually harm the plant, so if you've got a pretty full border, you might just do what I do, which is put up with a few black leaves. Then we move into high summer, and here in high summer, for us, it's the lavender. Lavender is just so spectacular. But it too does not want to be planted at the end of the year or the end of the season. You will have to wait for spring for that, because what lavender hates above all is cold, wet ground. However, hydrangeas are another plant that comes up in high summer. Hydrangea flowers start really from high summer and then they go on often, just slowly changing colour and ageing a little bit, but often keeping their shape and keeping their head right through to the winter, and then they look wonderful in the frost, by which time they'll be dried. So if you haven't thought of having any hydrangeas in your garden, I'd warmly recommend them. And now is a very good time to plant them. And now, of course, we're in late summer, which is late August, September for us. It could be slightly different for you. And the garden is definitely gappy. It's not as good as it had been previously. Now, dahlias are the big story in the late summer garden, as are cannas and asters, now known as Symphia trichum. And I do have all of them, but usually I leave my dahlias in over the winter and I pile them up with mulch. And there's a video about that in the description below. But last year I dug them up because if you leave them in for too long, they frankly go a little bit somehow kind of feral. They kind of revert back to whatever they were decades ago, whatever they came back from, and they get very untidy and leggy and the plants are a bit weak. And so I dug them all up and I potted some on, and either I didn't plant enough in the spring back into the border, or the plants are just not so happy being dug up and then put back again. So what I think I'm going to do with my dahlias in future years is to keep them in for 2 or 3 years and then have a good change round every 2 or 3 years in order to keep them fairly fresh, but not dig them up every year. My Don't Dig Up Your Dahlias video every year has got comments from all over the world, and I'm actually rather amazed at the number of people with slightly colder gardens than I have who are safely leaving them in, but I suspect that's because they don't have much rain and they may have a slightly warmer microclimate. So it's very much a question of try it and see. You may lose a few if you leave them in, but it's less of a fiddle to leave them in. The other mistake I think I've made with this late summer garden is I've got the cannas too widely spaced. I think cannas actually look great in big dramatic clumps, and having just 1, 2, 3 sticking up in the middle of the border I don't really think works. I am going to dig up my cannas and move them, but I'll have to wait until their flowers are over. The end of the season is really quite a good time to dig up and move cannas, and then of course I will cover their crowns with a thick layer of mulch and keep my fingers crossed, because if we had a really hard winter they would go. If you're interested in the choosing and care of some of these flowers I've mentioned, there's a playlist called Flower Colour which will be at the end of this video, and if you'd like more tips, ideas and inspiration for your garden, then do subscribe to the Middlesized Garden YouTube channel, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.